Another of one of the most OP stands in JoJo's is called Death 13, and the user of this stand, well, is pretty insane to believe, but it's a literal baby. It doesn't have a name, just goes by Manish Boy, which I'm sure it's not its actual name, as no one even knows who the parents of this child were. The namesake of Death 13 is the tarot card Death, and it's a close range psychological type stand as it affects you in your sleep. Though the appearance of Death 13 appears as a sort of Grim Reaper with a great scythe. As I mentioned earlier, it's sort of like a Freddy Krueger type stand because it affects you in your dreams and has complete control in those dreams. It affects all people who essentially go to sleep, as it also affected a nearby dog when Kakyoin and Polnareff were sleeping in their little rooms. The dream world is basically a massive carnival, which I'm sure a kid, as the user himself being a baby, would find pretty cool. A normal human in the dream world would be completely powerless. However, if a stand user enters the dream world, they would also be powerless. Unless, of course, they were able to have their stand out and fall asleep, which doesn't make sense if you think about it, because technically you need to be aware that your stand is out, and when you're asleep, you're kind of unconscious. How about that? However, when you wake up, it's not the same as in Freddy Krueger, as you still remember, but Death 13 erases your memories of the dream world when you're asleep until you go back into the dream world, as when Polnareff woke up from the dream world the first time, he forgot about everything until he went back in later and remembered what they were in. Any damage received in the dream world is obviously will reflect it onto your actual body in the real world, as when Kakyoin wrote baby stand on his arm, it transferred over to his real body in the real world, and thus he was able to somehow figure out that the baby that they were carrying had, well, a stand. It can also heal wounds in the dream world and heal your body in the real world as well, when it healed Kakyoin's self-inflicted wound. The user does not enter the dream world though. It's just the stand, and it seems like the stand cannot enter the real world, as it can only be damaged or affected in the dream world, which makes it pretty OP if Kakyoin had not have his stand out when they knocked him out. Obviously, Death 13's abilities and powers are similar in reference to the horror icon Freddy Krueger, as both can enter dream worlds and have complete control, and any damage done in the dream world affects the real people in the real world.